Okay, so we're going to get started by emptying out our Jiffy Mix cornbread boxes. You're going to need 3 of those. And right here, I'm just kind of breaking up the lumps of cornbread mix. It'll make your batter come out smoother in the end. Here I'm just breaking 3 eggs. 3 eggs, one for each box. Here I have 1/3 cup of milk. You have to do that 3 times. So it's 1/3 for each box. I always like to add olive oil or some kind of oil, vegetable oil, into the mix. That'll make it a lot smoother and it'll come out a lot more moist. And just mix until it's a smooth consistency. No lumps. We don't want any lumps. Now, after you spray your pan with the non-stick spray, you want to be very careful in how much cornbread you actually spread first on that first layer. You don't want it to be too thick at all. And here I kind of use these humps in the bottom of my pan to kind of give me a detection of where my batter was. And then you just go ahead and start browning your ground meat. I actually have ground chuck here. For this particular recipe, I would actually recommend just regular ground beef. It's a little bit less lean, which means your meat is going to be a lot more fatty and it's going to be moist. It's going to contribute to the whole moistness of the dish. Here we have our good old Lawry's season all, which means it can season all. And if you grew up in a black home, I'm sure your mama put this on everything. Then we have some ground coriander, one of my personal favorites. Then we're going to come right back at it with some good old regular garlic powder, Kroger brand honey. I had to add a little bit more Lawry's. And I just added some garam masala. It has chiles in it, paprika, coriander, just a whole bunch of goodness, honey. Now you just want to leave it alone a little bit, let it rest, come back, stir it. Here I have prepared a strainer with some napkin to drain the meat. You always want to drain the fat off the meat. No one wants to eat all of that fat. Now here I just skipped ahead a little bit. We already put the cornbread in for about 10 minutes. Remember, that's just the first layer. That's a quick look at the brown ground beef. Now here is my lovely mother just helping me drain the ground meat so I can get you guys a good look. And like I said, that first layer of cornbread that goes on the bottom, that is just in the oven for 10 minutes. We do not want that to cook. Now here we have our pan, and it has been completely removed of all of the ground beef. Next, I'm going to just throw in some garlic, some minced garlic, just how the pan is. We want all of that flavor from the bottom. And girl, I don't know why my mama is in this kitchen hovering over me. This is her recipe, so I guess she was approving everything that I was doing. But I just mixed around the garlic a little bit, let it soak in that heat. And next we're going to add in our mirepoix, a frozen mirepoix. You can do a fresh mirepoix. It's basically a blend of celery, onions, and carrots or bell peppers. And here we just kind of want to sweat them because, like I said, they were frozen. So we just want the moisture from that mirepoix to pick up all of the debris off the pan and get that seasoning. Here I'm adding in some canned mixed vegetables. I believe they all have potatoes, green beans, carrots, things of that nature. You can also opt to do fresh. This is the poor man's pot pie because it's cheaper, the ingredients are cheaper, so that's what I went with. I do want to add in that I can also redo this recipe with all fresh ingredients. If you guys would like to see that, just comment below and let me know. Here I'm adding cream of celery, just from Campbell's, and I'm also going to be adding cream of mushroom. This second can is the cream of mushroom that I spoke about earlier. And in this same can, I'm going to grab a little bit of tap water right out of the faucet, swirl it around in the can, and make sure we get all of that cream of mushroom out of it. Now we just want to mix that all together. Let it come to a slow simmer, not a boil. Don't want the fire too hot, and you don't want to leave it on too hot because then you're going to cook all the moisture out of it. So just keep it on a low fire. Just let it come to a low simmer. Keep stirring it, keep moving around, let it get loose. Add a little bit more water if you need to, which is what I did because it wasn't quite thin enough. And now we're just going to add back in our ground beef that we had straining. Now I do want to add in right here, as I'm mixing, you kind of see me mixing in a specific motion. I'm kind of folding the ingredients in first because it's kind of tricky to not slosh everything everywhere. So I would definitely recommend folding the ground meat in as you go slowly from the outer edges and working your way in. Now here I'm just kind of re-seasoning, kind of spicing it up a bit. I just added a pinch of cayenne pepper. Now, this is all seasoned to taste for me. I'm not a measurement type of chef. I do everything to taste, and I taste everything. The whole point of cooking is to build flavor. So we seasoned our ground beef in the first half, and now we're re-seasoning the whole ensemble. And I find that this gives you a lot better results because you never really over season anything because you're constantly tasting it. And I would also like to add that this specific part right here, I wouldn't say has a particular time. Just make sure that all your meat is coated. Here we're finally transferring our mixture into the pan with the first level of cornbread, which is not all the way cooked. Now, this next step you can opt to not do if you would like. I like cheese. My family likes cheese, so I just added a little shredded cheese to the top before we put the last level of cornbread on.
Put that in there so you smell it.
Here I'm just layering over that last layer of cornbread. Make sure you get it in all the nooks and crannies around the edges. As you can see, my whole family likes to enter the kitchen as I'm cooking. And now we just want to smooth the whole thing. Make sure we tucked all the cheese and the little ground meat bits sticking up, and you're done. We're just gonna put this in the oven for about an hour and 15 minutes at 350 degrees.
If I hear my voice in that video, I'm gonna scream.
And now we have our finished product, a poor man's pot pie. I really hope you guys enjoyed my first YouTube video, and if not, please tell me on how I can get better. This is my first YouTube video, so please bear with me. I know a lot of my angles were not the best, but I promise you I will only get better and better. If you did like this video, go ahead and comment below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Thank you for watching.